Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm excited to film today's video because it's been one that's been on my list for a little while. So I'm sharing my top 3 favorites in every category. This is a video that's been floating around on YouTube. I love watching them because I think it just gives you a look at what people genuinely love and enjoy. And I believe this was started by Juliette Has, who I love. So I'm excited to sit down and share my top 3 favorites in each category, including all of the face products, cheek products, lip products, everything. So I hope you guys enjoy today's video. I do want to say thank you to Scentbird for sponsoring a portion of today's video. I love Scentbird. I think it's such a genius idea. Back in the spring, I was wanting to try out a new fragrance. It had been like a few years since I really purchased one, but I couldn't decide which one to buy because full-size bottles of fragrances are very expensive and it always takes me a while to decide if I really love it. So I decided to try out Scentbird. I love it. I signed up for the subscription. I get it every month and it's been such a nice way for me to build my fragrance collection without committing to a full-sized option, and I can change up my scents seasonally. If you haven't heard of Scentbird, it's a fragrance subscription service that allows you to choose a new designer fragrance to try every month. It is a flexible subscription, so you can skip at any time, and if you really love getting new fragrances, you can also upgrade to receive 2 or 3 a month. Every month you'll get a 30-day supply of a new fragrance, and there's a lot of product in these bottles. They will last you a long time. Scentbird actually has over 600 brands, including top designer brands as well as indie labels. All of them are 100% authentic because they do work directly with the brands. And I also did some research to find out which brands are cruelty-free, so I'll list them in the description box below for you guys, but they have a lot of great options to choose from and they're continually adding more. If you need help choosing a fragrance, maybe you don't know where to start, they have a quiz that you can take that's really helpful. So based on your answers, your previous purchases, and your preferences, they'll help you find a fragrance that you'll love. I also have exciting news. Scentbird is expanding to Canada, so all of my amazing Canadian subscribers can also try Scentbird too. So let me share a couple of my favorites as we head into the fall season. James by the Brand by Rosie Jane is like the perfect date night fragrance for those crisp fall nights. It has notes of fig, amber, and gardenia, and they just blend together to give you like this beautiful, warm, cozy floral scent. Love High by Confessions of a Rebel, again, is such a great option for the fall. If you like sweet, fruity scents, you'll really enjoy this one because it has notes of apple, which I can really smell. And that just reminds me of the fall, like going to the apple orchard and going apple picking. Vaquita Dolphin is a really nice, refreshing scent that I think is good for the daytime. If I don't want something overly sweet or overly floral, it definitely has like a light, airy freshness to it. The last one I wanted to mention is Pop by the brand Stella McCartney. This one smells so good. It has very simple notes, tuberose and sandalwood, but combined together, they just smell amazing. It definitely has a pretty strong floral scent, but this is something that I would wear all year round. It's really been my go-to lately. Scentbird is usually $16 a month, but make sure to use my coupon code. I'll put it in the description box below and on the screen for you guys to get 30% off your first month. You'll actually get it for $11, which is such a great deal. I would love to know if you guys have any fragrance recommendations so I can add them to my wish list, but I'll put a list of a couple of my favorites in the description box too. So let me start with face products. I'll kick it off with primers. I love the fact that I get to include 3 in each category because I typically use different products for different purposes, but I love them all. So when it comes to primers, I have some that are very, very different from each other. The first one is the Farsali Liquid Powder Oil Balancing Serum. Now, unfortunately, this product is being discontinued because the entire brand will no longer be available soon, but it is still available on Sephora's website for a discounted price. This is my ideal primer when I want to mattify my skin. I've never tried a more mattifying primer ever. It really is like a liquid powder. It goes on like a serum, and as you blend it in, it dries to a powdery finish, and it mattifies my skin so well. It's not something I use all over my face, but I typically focus this in the T-zone, especially on my nose where I tend to get the most oily. So this one is a great option if you have oily skin and you want a super matte base because it stays matte all day long. On the other hand, when I want a really hydrated base, I love using the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer. I've loved this for years, ever since they released it like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I feel like this has been around for a while and it's been in my collection ever since. This is such a great option if you want a very smooth, hydrated base. Again, it has like a serum-like texture, so it does feel like you're applying a very watery primer to the skin, but it just blends out beautifully. It preps your skin so well for foundation, and it just makes your skin look so smooth and healthy and glowy. The other primer that I wanted to mention is the e.l.f. Matte Putty Primer. I love this one because it mattifies my skin, but it also leaves my skin looking and feeling so smooth. So if I'm dealing with a breakout or a lot of texture like I typically do, this product is so nice because it just gives my skin this smooth, even base. So when I apply foundation on top, it glides over any breakouts or texture or just areas that might not look as smooth when I apply foundation on top of them. So my number one foundation is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Hydrating Foundation. I pretty much wear this one every single time I wear foundation, whether I'm wearing it on its own or I'm mixing it with another one. This just looks so good on the skin. It looks smooth and even, it stays in place really well, and it wears really well throughout the day. I think if you have dry skin or oily skin, you would like this product. If you have dry skin, you could just leave it and not set it, and it will give you a really pretty luminous glow. And if you have oily skin, you can just set it with powder and it still looks really good on the skin too. So this is my number one. It has been for a long time. The one that comes really close, that was probably my number one before this, is the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. This is definitely more of a matte foundation. It has amazing coverage. The ColourPop foundation is more of a medium foundation that you can build up a little bit, but this one definitely can be built up to be full coverage. It stays in place extremely well. It's super thin, so it blends out well, and it doesn't look heavy or cakey on the skin. So these are my two favorites for sure. I could be completely happy with these and never try another foundation again. But the third one I wanted to mention is the Pure Cosmetics 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie. Now, I don't typically wear this one on its own as much these days. I do think it looks good on its own. It has really nice coverage and more of like a natural satin finish. So I do find that it wears well, it looks good, but typically I'll mix it in with the ColourPop foundation when I want a little bit of extra coverage. As for concealer, my number one go-to is the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. I've used this, again, for years and years. It's such a great option because it has a really nice satin finish. So it blends out so beautifully. The coverage is amazing, but again, it doesn't look heavy or cakey on the skin, but it stays in place well, even on my oily skin. And I'll even use this as foundation when I'm in a pinch and I'm just not in the mood to pull out a separate foundation because first of all, you get a ton of product in here. Second of all, it just blends out well and it looks so nice and natural on the skin, but you can also build it up to get really good coverage too. Last year, I tried the Milani Conceal and Perfect for the first time, and again, I just fell in love with the formula. This has more of a matte finish, and it is like a true full coverage concealer, but again, it stays in place extremely well. You can totally use this as a spot concealer or under the eyes, but on days where I want more of a matte full coverage look, this is definitely the one that I reach for, and this one's from the drugstore, so it is less expensive than Too Faced. But you do get a lot of product in the Too Faced concealer. You get 0.5 fluid ounces, and in the Milani one, you get 0.17 fluid ounces. So when you break it down in terms of value, they're probably pretty similar. This year, I actually tried the Kosas concealer for the first time, and this is my favorite spot concealer. I actually went through my first bottle of this so quickly because I was using it every single day, and I just recently repurchased it. I have the shade 05, which is a little bit dark for me. I originally had 03, which was too light for me, so I feel like I fall in the middle, but I think the shades in the middle were more neutral or cool toned, and I definitely prefer more of a yellow toned concealer under the eyes or even as a spot concealer. So 05 works fine for me because I just cover it with foundation anyway, but this product is so nice as a spot concealer because it's very creamy, very blendable, but it has really nice coverage. So it does kind of cover up any breakouts or scarring that I'm dealing with, but when I layer foundation on top, it doesn't look or feel heavy or cakey. I know a lot of people like it under the eyes too. I just prefer it as a spot concealer. So let's talk powders. I like so many powders for a lot of different reasons, but the first three that came to mind are these ones. They're all from the drugstore, and the first one I'll mention is the Flower Beauty Light Illusion. This is one of my favorite pressed powders. This does offer a little bit of coverage, so it's great on days where I feel like my foundation isn't doing enough for me and I just need a little something extra. It also looks really smooth and even on the skin. It locks my foundation in place all day long, and again, this is something that I've had in my collection for years. I continue to repurchase it. It actually replaced the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder for me. I loved that when I tried it, but I really think that this is basically an identical dupe for it. Another one of my favorites is the Essence All About Matte Fixing Compact Powder. This is my number one staple during the summertime. It just keeps my skin matte all day long. It's such a great option to lock my foundation into place, but I'll also use it as a touch-up powder because it's super lightweight and super mattifying. If you have dry skin, stay away from this, but if you have extremely oily skin like me, this will be a staple for you. And then I also wanted to mention the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. I love this product. I pretty much use this almost every single day just to brighten up my under eyes, blend out my makeup when I'm wearing too much bronzer or too much blush. This is the most beautiful powder. It is so lightweight, so finely milled, so it just looks amazing on the skin. And I love using this just to kind of finish my makeup. You could use this as a setting powder, especially if you have dry skin, because it's just going to give your skin like a super lightweight finish. It's not going to necessarily lock your foundation into place all day long, which is why I like to use it as a finishing powder. But if I took this and just blended it all over my skin with a large fluffy brush, it would just give my skin like a very smooth, soft finish that doesn't look powdery at all. So that's why this is definitely one of my favorites. It replaced the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder for me. That's a pressed powder. I have the shade Diffused Light. I was using it all the time, but I actually prefer this formula. It looks so much better, and they have a good shade selection as well, especially compared to Hourglass, who just never creates enough shades. Okay, so let's talk about some cheek products. Now, I could use your help when it comes to cheek products, because as I was sitting down and making my list and pulling out products for today's video, I realized that when it comes to cheek products, specifically bronzers and highlighters, I don't have as many staple formulas that I just rave about, especially because a lot of my favorites get discontinued. So if you guys have any staple products, especially bronzers and highlighters, please let me know. Right now, my go-to bronzer, the one that I probably wear the most, is the Milani Baked Bronzer. I just like the formula of this because it's very lightweight, really smooth, so it just glides on the skin effortlessly. You can use a super light hand and get almost like a barely there look, or you can layer it on and it doesn't look heavy. I think if you're going for like a natural bronzy look, this is such a great option. It doesn't really have like shimmer in it, but it does give your skin like a natural glow. So this really is one of my favorites. I think the Milani Baked products are so good. Now, recently I tried the LYS No Limits Matte Bronzer. I have the shade Motivate, which is the light shade. And I really like this one too. My go-to matte bronzer for a long time was the Balm's Take Home the Bronze, but they discontinued it. I feel like all of my favorite face products get discontinued. So I tried this one and it's such a great option. I think it blends really well. It looks good on the skin. Sometimes matte bronzers can look a little bit dry or heavy or patchy. This one looks amazing. I definitely want to try more products from this brand. I do have a few. They don't have a super big selection of products because I think they are a newer brand. They're sold at Sephora. It's a Black-owned, clean, vegan, cruelty-free beauty brand, and the price point is really good, especially for Sephora. So I'm really impressed with the products that I've tried. I hope they release more. I think they do have cream bronzers too, unless they only have cream blushes. I'm kind of getting more into cream products, so if they have cream bronzers, I think I might try them. Speaking of cream bronzer, I do have a few in my collection that I love, and it's hard to say which one is my favorite because I use them for very different purposes. I like the e.l.f. Putty Bronzers. I also like the Persona Cream Bronzer Stick, but I think I have to go with the Makeup by Mario one, at least for now, because this one stays in place so well. It's very pigmented, but you can blend it out. So I just kind of draw it on my face wherever I would apply bronzer, blend it out, and I'm good to go. Also, I use this all the time and it looks like I've barely used it. So I would say in terms of value, you're getting a lot because even if you use this as much as I do, you'll barely make a dent in it. Let me talk about highlighter and then I'll finish up with blush, because as for blush, I do have a lot of formulas that I love. But again, highlighter is an area where I've had a hard time finding like my go-to formulas. And when I do, they get discontinued. So of course, my number one favorite is the Becca Cosmetics Shimmering Skin Perfector formula. Becca just went out of business in September. I think they have a few products left on their website last time I checked, but unfortunately they will no longer be making their highlighters or a lot of their other products that people love, any of their products. My go-to shade is Champagne Pop. It has been ever since it was released. I'm wearing it today. I feel like it just gives my skin like a beautiful glow, and I don't layer on too much of it, but this is one of the only highlighters that looks good on my textured skin and doesn't enhance my texture. I did purchase a backup, which I don't typically do, but this really is my number one highlighter. So I've been searching for like a good alternative, and I've found other highlighters that I like, but nothing quite like this one. Another one of my favorites that was limited edition is the Anastasia Beverly Hills AMREZY highlighter. I was really trying not to mention like limited edition products in this video, but when it comes to highlighter, like there are really only 3 formulas that I love to reach for, and unfortunately, 2 of them have been discontinued. The AMREZY highlighter is gorgeous. I want them to release more shades in this formula. They came out with that other highlighter, which I can't remember the name. It was like a white gold highlighter, and a lot of people said the formula was the same, but I just didn't feel like it was. And it was kind of like a textured highlighter in the pan, so I never got the look that I was going for, but this one looks amazing every single time I use it. So I really hope that one day Anastasia will take advantage of this formula and just create like an entire line, because I really think it would be such a hit for them. And I feel like they need a hit lately. Thankfully, this product is still available. I just recently got a new one. This one is the Flower Beauty Shimmer and Strobe Highlighting Palette. So the one that I had in my collection, I think I had for years and years, and then they sent me a PR package and they sent this in it, and I decided to part with the other one because it just wasn't performing as well as it used to, and I'm so glad that I have this again. I've been reaching for it nonstop. They also have a deeper version of this highlighter. This one is the lighter version. I typically mix these together. I'll either use like the golden one and the pearl one and mix those shades together, or I'll mix these 2 together, or all 3. It just looks really good on the skin. So if you guys have any other recommendations that are similar to Becca or the Flower Beauty formula, please let me know, because that's my favorite type of formula. Okay, as for blush, I do like a lot of different blush formulas. My #1 blush of all time is this one. It's the Buxom Wanderlust Primer Infused Blush in the shade Seychelles. I always say this because I always do close-up shots. Mine looks pretty rough. It still performs really well, so I haven't repurchased it, but it is one of those blushes that kind of looks textured in the pan, but applies really nicely on the skin. But this is such a good color. I'm wearing this on my cheeks today. I love this formula because in the pan, it looks like a matte blush, but on the skin, it has like this beautiful natural radiance to it. So it just looks amazing. Whether you're wearing a lot of makeup or minimal makeup, I just can't get enough of it. It is my #1. I wear it all the time. Another blush that I love that I actually think is a good alternative from the drugstore is this one from Essence. It is the blush in the shade Bespoke. It's such a beautiful color. This to me is like the perfect bronzer blush all in one. Again, it gives your skin like that really pretty natural glow. It's not a shimmery blush by any means, but it has like a natural radiance to it. It blends out so beautifully, and this whole line again is gorgeous. I think these blushes are like $3. So if you guys are looking for a good blush from the drugstore, definitely try these. I also love the Milani baked blushes. I do have a couple of them, but my favorite shade is Luminoso. Whenever I'm wearing like a warm toned look, this is my favorite, especially during the summertime. Again, if you notice a pattern, I love blushes that just give my skin like a natural glow, and this does that as well. It blends out so effortlessly. It doesn't look powdery on the skin. So if you don't like powder blushes because they look powdery, try this formula because it looks really good. Okay, so moving on to eye products. Let's start with eyeshadow palettes. Eyeshadow palettes is a tough category for me because I love palettes. I actually have a video on my channel where I share the 10 palettes that I would keep if I could only keep 10. So if you want to hear more of my like expanded answer, I'll link that video in the description box below, or you can click the eye in the upper right hand corner and it will pop up for you. So the first palette I want to mention is my #1 palette of all time. I talk about it a lot on my channel, but it is so beautiful. It is the Natasha Denona Bronze palette. I just fell in love with this palette so fast. It's been worth every single penny to me because I have used it so much. I'm wearing it on my eyes today. The matte shadows are so blendable, like some of the most blendable shadows I've ever tried. Even her other palettes don't compare to this one because these shadows blend effortlessly on the eyes. And then the metallic shadows in here are amazing. They are so creamy, so smooth. They're so like light reflecting. And I've tried a couple of her palettes at this point, and I feel like she has good shimmers in other palettes, but not like this one. The shimmers in here are next level. They're so pretty and reflective. I mean, on my eyes today, I feel like it almost looks like I have like a ColourPop Super Shock shadow or even like a liquid shadow, but these are all powders. And this look took me like maybe 7 minutes to do. It's just a very easy, effortless palette. I will say the matte shadows are pretty powdery, so keep that in mind if you don't like powdery shadows. And in general, I get a similar look when I use this palette. Like I get some sort of bronze eye or gold eye or a little bit of like a red coppery eye. I don't get like a super smoky, intense look. You could use the deepest shade in here to really smoke it out, I don't use that shade as much because I just love the mid-toned colors, but it's such a good option if you like really warm eyeshadow looks like this. Another palette that I love is one that I actually got this year. I was a little bit late to the game on this, but the Mercury Retrograde palette by Huda Beauty is so gorgeous. This is just one of the most unique palettes I have in my collection. I got this for such a good deal. It was discounted to like, I don't know, was it 40% off? It was a really, really good discount, and I decided to finally grab it, and I'm so glad that I did because there are so many gorgeous shades in this palette. You get pastel tones, you get jewel tones. The textures are so fun because I just always love metallic shadows that are a little bit different in terms of texture that can just add something to your eye look that's different. I think I just said different like 4 different times, but that's the reason why I love this one. I still haven't purchased another one of her larger palettes. I've said this before, but I think my next palette will be like that berry toned one. I'll probably grab that during the Sephora VIB sale because I just love this one so much. And then the third palette is this one from ColourPop. This is probably my #1 ColourPop palette. It's hard to say because they do make a lot of my favorites, but this is one that I reach for consistently. It is the That's Taupe palette. It comes with 9 cooler tone shadows. I think I would actually choose this over the Natasha Denona Glam palette, which is like her cooler toned version of bronze, because I don't know, this one has like a little bit of a rosy hue to it that looks so pretty on the eyes. Also, I feel like they just nailed this with like 9 cooler tone shadows that go so well together. The Glam palette is really good, but I just feel like out of the two, I tend to reach for this one a little bit more. And I think it's because it has like those rosier tones in here as well. As for liner, I didn't want to do like a separate liquid liner category and a separate pencil liner category. I just thought I would narrow it down to like my top 3 overall. So for liquid liner, I love the Urban Decay Perversion liquid liner. It's my favorite. It glides on so easily. It's a brush tip, so if you have trouble with felt tip liners and you feel like they tug on your eyes, try this one. It also stays in place extremely well. I've gone through so many of these. As for pencil liners, I tried 2 formulas this year that I just love. The Too Faced Killer liners are so good. If you have trouble with eyeliner coming off of your waterline pretty quickly, if you have watery eyes or it just doesn't last throughout the day, try this formula because this stays in place so well. I think all of the ones that I have are matte. I don't actually know if they make any shimmery ones, but I feel like these do last so well. So when I want my makeup to stay in place and not move, this is the formula that I reach for. But I also love these LA Girl metallic liners. These are so pretty. They have like a beautiful shimmery finish. They're really creamy, so they glide on easily. They have a bunch of pretty colors and they're so inexpensive. As for mascara, I feel like my mascara favorites do change fairly often. Like every year I have a new go-to mascara, but one that has remained consistent throughout the years is the IT Cosmetics Superhero. I don't currently have one of these open, so I'll put a picture on the screen for you guys, but I purchase this one consistently. Typically I wait until I can get it on sale either during like Black Friday or an Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale, but I love this one. It's so dramatic. It makes your lashes look incredibly thick and so voluminous. So that is probably my #1. I repurchase it all the time. But I also love the By Beauty Upswing Mascara. This one is similar to the IT Cosmetics, but what are the differences? I would say the wands are definitely different. This one's a lot bigger than the IT Cosmetics, but I feel like they give a very similar look to the eyes. Maybe the IT Cosmetics is a little bit more lengthening, and this one is a little bit more... It gives a little bit more volume without being as clumpy as the IT Cosmetics Superhero. The IT Cosmetics Superhero mascara has the tendency to get very clumpy very quickly, and you can also get a little bit of clumpiness with the By Beauty, but not as much as the IT Cosmetics Superhero. This one's just a great, dramatic, voluminous mascara. I feel like I described them all in the same way, so I also love this one. But I really think my #1 go-to is going to be this one from now on. It's the Essence Lash Princess Curl and Volume. This mascara is so good. I used to prefer my #1 Lash Princess mascara was the False Lash Effect, the green one, because that gave me a ton of length, but I like this one better. This one gives me volume, length. It also curls and separates, lifts the lashes. It really is like the perfect all-in-one mascara. It builds so well, so I can get a ton of drama, but it's not clumpy like the IT Cosmetics Superhero or the By Beauty mascara. It also separates really nicely too. So if you have very sparse lashes or short lashes and you need a mascara that does everything, this is the one to try. It builds up so well, and I can't believe it's $5. It's so good. For the category of brows, I just narrowed it down to 3 products overall. The first one is the Urban Decay Brow Blade. I love this because it has a pencil side and then also a brow pen side. This has been my favorite for years and years, and it still remains one of my absolute favorites. These days, I have been using the NYX Brow Pencil along with the NYX Brow Pen, which is my number 2 choice. I didn't include the NYX Brow Pencil in today's video because when it comes to 3 products, I think I would still choose the Urban Decay Brow Pencil over the NYX one, but the NYX one is really good. If I chose 4, that would be number 4. But I think between the two, the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Pen is my favorite over the pencil. It's rich and pigmented. It definitely adds like depth and dimension to your brows. The third product I wanted to mention is the e.l.f. Wow Brow Gel. I like quite a few brow gels, but this is my number 1. It makes your brows look thick and voluminous. It has fibers in it, and I also like that it's tinted because even on days when I don't want to fill in my brows with a pencil and a pen, I'll still take this and run it through my brows and it still makes a difference. Okay, let me finish up with lip products. So let's start with lipstick. There are 3 formulas that I wanted to mention in today's video. Again, I feel like a lot of my favorite lipstick formulas have been discontinued, but unlike the other categories, I've actually been able to find new formulas that I love. The first product I want to mention has been my favorite for the past year and a half, ever since they released them. These are from Bite Beauty. They are they're the Power Move Creamy Matte Lip Crayons. These are honestly so good. I reach for them all the time. They're very creamy, very pigmented. They stay in place extremely well. They are marketed as like a creamy matte formula, which sounds like an oxymoron, but it makes sense. They really do feel like creamy matte lipsticks. Initially, there is more of a satin sheen, but as the day goes on, that satin sheen kind of wears off to look more like a true matte lipstick, and these stay in place really well. They're not transfer-proof lipsticks, but for a regular lipstick, I can wear them for hours and even like eat and drink and still have a good amount of pigment on my lips throughout the day. So if you miss the Amuse-Bouche lipsticks, try these. They're not the exact same. They're not quite as like shiny and luminous on the lips, but I do feel like the formula comes close. Another one of my favorites is this formula from Buxom. These are the Full Force Plumping Lipsticks. So I bought one of these last year during Ulta's 21 Days of Beauty, and I really like them. They have really gorgeous colors. I do have quite a few nude shades, and for some reason I can't find them all. I don't know if I placed them somewhere else for another video I was filming, but I'll swatch a couple of the colors. Today I'm wearing the shade Goddess. I do have a little bit of the NYX Filler Instinct lipstick in the shade Beach Casual on top, but Goddess is a really pretty like light pinky nude. But this is such a nice formula. It's very smoothing on the lips, very lightweight, really creamy and comfortable. So if that's what you're looking for, I think you'll enjoy these. I also love these lipsticks from Propa Beauty. I picked these up, I think during the summertime. I saw this brand on Instagram and their lipsticks just looked so beautiful. I was looking for a new go-to nude lipstick line, and Propa Beauty has the most beautiful shades of nude lipsticks. I think they just released some other lipsticks as well. They were kind of focusing on nude lipsticks, and then I think they did some more colorful shades too. The Propa Beauty is a Black-owned beauty brand. They have amazing shades to choose from, so definitely check them out if you guys are looking for a new go-to nude lipstick line. As far as lip gloss goes, my number 1 formula is the Fenty Gloss Bombs. I just picked up the Fenty Gloss Bomb Heat not too long ago, and then I saw on Instagram they're releasing new shades of that: Hot Chocolate, Fussy, and Fenty Glow. I'm so tempted to grab all 3. I think I might either pick up Fenty Glow or Hot Chocolate in the new plumping formula. I don't know. Before I got that formula, my favorite was just the regular one in Hot Chocolate. So I think I might have to try it in the new Hot Chocolate shade because I love Fenty glosses so much. They are so glossy, so comfortable. They just give your lips like the most beautiful, juicy shine, and I can't get enough of them. I just think they're so pretty. So I love them. This is like the one formula that I use up, and I've actually used up, I mean, this one's almost gone. This one is Fussy. I've used up minis. I'm pretty close to using up these 2 full-sized glosses. I just think they're so good. Another gloss formula I've used for years is from Buxom. I think these are so pretty. I've actually been wearing these a lot lately. They're so smooth on the lips, and they do have like that tingly feel, which I love, but I find that when I'm wearing a lipstick that just doesn't look really great on my lips, maybe it's dry or maybe it's enhancing all of the lines, this is such a good lip gloss formula to put on top. because it just smooths over everything. The other thing that I do is like I'll end up layering like 3 different lipsticks to get the color that I want, and sometimes it can look a little heavy or just the formulas won't meld together in a good way. I'm sure you know what I mean if you like to mix lipstick formulas too. So when I apply a gloss on top, everything just comes together in a really smooth, even, like beautiful way. So I love these. And then the third one I wanted to mention are just the Tower 28 glosses. I have a full-sized one somewhere. I think it might be in my purse. But these are really nice. They're very lightweight, really natural. They're kind of like an oily gloss, like a lip oil lip gloss hybrid. So they're very hydrating, very sheer. So they're nice for everyday wear. And again, I'll wear them on top of lipstick too. Okay guys, I think that's everything I wanted to share in today's video. This was a longer video, so if you're still watching, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I really appreciate it. I would love to hear your answers, so let me know in the comment section below. And again, if you guys want to try out Scentbird, you can get your first month for $11, so just check the description box below for the code and the link. But otherwise, I'll see you guys very soon with a new video. Bye.